Greetings, gentlemen. It's OTR over in Corrigan. I want to talk about a driving technique I refer to as the big triangle. Let's say you start out somewhere in the Northwest, and between here and Georgia, some parts, like 4 days. Now, maybe it's really only 3 days or some change. If you slow down your speeds, though, you can get it to 3 days, three and 3/4 of a day. So not quite 4, but you can easily make it down there. You say, why would I do that? Well, let's say you're paying for your own fuel, or let's say you have a decent fuel bonus at your company. And if you're getting, most guys are getting like 6.5 to 7, and you're getting 8.5 to 9 something in a Peterbilt, your boss takes notice of that and pays you very well for saving him money. You make yourself money, and he makes you a little money too, so you're getting more back on your paycheck than most guys. Now, some people say my time, money versus time, and I argue you got to do what you got to do. It's just my attitude on it is that if I have lots of extra time to get there because I got like at least 15 extra hours to get there, then I'm gonna want to have 10 extra hours to catch some Z's and then ghost into the shipper. Do the 2.5 mile shuffle as it is these days. You guys remember back when there were paper logs, and I hated paper logs to a degree because all the hokey shit you saw going on. But at the same token, you're just like, yeah, and I just ghosted over here, ghosted over there. Now you have to use personal conveyance, which means your truck is supposed to be empty. But these days, it's like 2.5 mile shuffle going into the shipper. Yeah. Oh, safety, man, safety. That's what it's about. No, it's about not turning on your time. But yeah, you get there 15 hours early, and then you're just sitting around for 15 hours. Now, I have an electric APU, so from my mentality, if I get there way too early, that's just the batteries running low on the APU at 15 hours. About, it'll last anywhere from 12 if I'm running it really high, like say try to keep it 72 if it's really hot outside, and to where 18 hours or more, depending on the situation. Like if I don't need it, I don't turn it on. But so if I get there with 10 hours to spare, that's what I really want to begin with. Or if I get there just in time, and then I take my 10-hour break, which is in some reasons better, because if I get there just in time, I'm going to be dog tired. That sucks. But at the very least, I can personal conveyance to somewhere I want to go, like somewhere where it's en route to where the next load is. And sometimes you don't know where the next load is. But so you run that 3-4 days down there really hard, really long. So you got recap that'll be really good of like basically 411s coming back. So then you get some hop load that takes you north or to Texas or something, and it buzzes you around a little bit. So you go this many miles this far. So you're obviously you're going to have kind of a waste day between loading and unloading. So now you're up to 5 days. And say you go north, and you go north for, I don't know, a day or so, get up to Chicagoland or some shit. You also got the drive to get to there, so basically you have 2 days there. So you're already up to 5 days with the loading and unloading. So you add another day and a half or so. So 2 days. So what are we up to there? 7 days? About 6-7 days? 7 days. So you still have some time left over on this. You probably still have 10 hours or so. So by that point, you get to the next place, you get unloaded, and you go up to the place to get reloaded, so you basically have kind of a waste day there. In that case, at this point, you now have probably 10 hours left. And you go up there to get loaded, reloaded, and you get out on the road, you drive all night. By this point, you probably have hit that 8th day. So at this point, you have 4 days of 11s coming back, and you can get all the way back to the other side of the country. So you run down all the way from one place, maybe run north, or run kind of weird zigzag, some type of shit, because that's the way the loads work. And then you got enough hours at that point to get all the way back to your home. Now, not everything's perfect. Sometimes things, maybe you got enough time, maybe you don't. And sometimes you get back and they're like, hey, you still got time. Let's run you a hop load to go from, say, I don't know, Salt Lake to, some part of Oregon, some shit like that. And they want to use up those hours. And that's not half bad. Because, as long as, say, you only needed 20 of those 4 days to get back from where you were at. because you know you're like from in Wisconsin area and you're going back up towards the northwest. So the part of the northwest like Idaho or East Oregon or Eastern Washington, it's only going to take you 3 days to get there. So in that case, you might have 10, 20 hours you can work with. You can do a quick hop load from one place to another, get back, and then take a 34, you know, and you've actually made decent money. But I stick by this. Really, the problem for our industry, and this comes down to why guys drive fast. One, guys drive fast because it's fun. Let's be real. It is fun passing by a motherfucker and be like he's just like a grease lightning dude, just fucking gone. But if we're getting down to it, the 70-hour rule basically gets guys into the mentality of drive as fast as you can because you might need that time. And that time might be worth more as time than it is, you know, because like how much they're paying you per mile. Like if you got two really good paying loads back to back and they need you there really fast, then drive fast. That makes sense. But if you got really good, like I said, you don't want to never take cheap freight if you can avoid it. Sometimes you have to, but just avoid taking cheap freight. And the other thing is the go home freight, the fuck you freight. Like, oh, you want to go home? Well, we're gonna find you the worst load they can. And it's like at that point, I've often questioned if you're going to be OTR, why are you even bothering to go home? Why do you have a concept of home? Truck is home. Dog is family. Fucking truck is home. But, yeah, just, I would be following wherever the money was good. Wherever the money consistently stays good, like the lanes of freight. Just stick around to that. And then if you're cool with taking a 34 on the road, you know, you just know what place is, like, worthwhile as a truck stop. You know, you got your showers, your free showers, because you fuel with them or some shit. And there's at least decent restaurants around, like, and fucking be damned about this Rona shit. You know, like, I'm a fat guy. Like, my spirit animal is either a fat raccoon who's best friends with a walrus. I think really my spirit animal is the walrus. But I gotta be real. I miss Chinese buffets. I'm losing my mind about that shit. I'm like, I just want to be satisfied with a fucking stomach full of Chinese food. You know, get the egg rolls, got some of the angel hair, the glass noodles, you know, with the shrimp and shit, and the fucking broccoli beef. But no, this Rona shit. You're like, oh, you gotta fucking go to Arby's or some shit, or I gotta cook in the truck, which I do a lot. But eventually, you're just sitting there grimacing at reality, going, fuck this. Anyway, I've rambled on enough about this, but you drivers take it safe out there. And, hey, if you slow down, you can save a lot of fuel. And that's the thing. I mean, if some of these drivers are never going to do it. And you know what? Be thankful there's a lot of drivers that are wasteful. Because they kind of set the model, keep it low. And that's the truth of it. You know why a lot of those drivers that suck at this shit, why they fucking hate those big companies? Well, the big companies there's a lot of reasons to hate the big companies, but the big companies are efficient, and they get a better fuel mileage. Just like they hate fucking guys from, like, say, India or China or some shit, or Africa. You know why they hate them? Because these guys can live off practically nothing. So they can run their trucks efficiently, and they have a low cost of living. So these guys are hellaciously profitable, and they can afford to take freight that isn't as great. But I mean, if you think those guys that are, you know, from other countries are taking just the cheap freight, you're fooling yourself. You know, I mean, even a guy who owns an old truck that doesn't get the best mileage, he's not taking the cheap freight. You know, and people have that illusion about it. But when you see these big companies that because they're that much more efficient and they can run better contracts and they can afford to do it for a few cents less, you hate them because they're better at it than you and they're more successful. And that's the thing. I look at it from the standpoint, look at what they're doing that works and see if you can adapt what they're doing that works into your own life and your own business. And that's not just for trucking, that's for fucking everything. Like, doing things old, hokey, retarded ways. I know we all grew up doing some shit, but sooner or later you realize it's just out of date. It's like, who's using a fucking payphone these days? I'm being real. When's the last time you seen a dude with a pager? You know, other than an EMT or a doctor. When's the last time you saw one of those people? You know, the world upgrades. You should upgrade your way of thinking. So anyways, y'all have a great day, and pray for the Chinese food buffets to be open. OTI Ogre, out.